Okay, Assalamu alaikum banat. We are having this video to revise lesson 2.4 dividing polynomials. This lesson we have four main ideas: long division, synthetic division, remainder theorem, and lastly factor theorem. Before I start with long division, I want to recall with you some basics that you need to divide properly. Starting off with how can I divide one term by another term. You always divide the numbers together, so I have 36 divided by 4, it's going to be 9. Don't forget the negative, there is a negative here. And then x squared divided by x cubed divided by x squared. When you want to divide variables, just subtract the powers. They should have the same variable, so keep the variable as it is and subtract the powers. 3 minus 2 is 1. The numerator minus the denominator, okay? And that's the answer. Same here. 24 divided by 6 is basically 4. X to the power of 4 divided by x to the power of 4, you just write, n, write n, and then 4 minus 4 is 0. Anything to the power of 0 is just 1. 1 times 4 is 4, so no need to write it. That's why when you divide a variable by itself, خلاص, it's gone. We don't write it. Here 16 divided by 1, here there's a hidden 1, so it stays 16. And then x to the power of 5 divided by x, the power here is 1, so subtract. 5 minus 1 is 4. It's going to be x to the power of 4. These are basics you need. One more thing is, when you are dividing any two numbers or anything, the number you are dividing is called dividend. The number you're dividing by is the divisor. The answer of division is called quotient. That's the answer. And the remainder is how much you have left, okay? So in this case, this is the dividend. This is the thing you are dividing with. It's the divisor, and that's the answer of division. It's called quotient, and there is no remainder, as you can see. Anyways, anytime you are dividing, you have two ways to write down your answer. You either write the dividend over the divisor equals the quotient plus remainder over divisor, and you have to write it. Full thing, the whole thing, you have to write it. Just plug in your dividend, divisor, and so on, and write down your answer. So for example, if I want to write down my answer for this example using type 1, I'm going to do dividend, which is 452 over divisor, which is 4, equals quotient, which is 113, plus remainder is 0 over divisor, it's 4. This is how you write down your answer, okay? Or you can use type 2. You can use any of the types, doesn't matter, but you have to learn both. You have to memorize both, okay? Let's go into an example with dividing polynomials. How does it work? Let's see. So dividing polynomials with long division, you have to know which one is your dividend, which one is your divisor. Usually the long polynomial is the dividend and the short one is the divisor, okay? So just start with a long division sign. Inside we put the dividend. It's basically x to the power of 3 plus 5x squared plus 6x plus 9 divided by the divisor, which is x plus 3. And then you start dividing. First step, I'm just gonna list down the steps for you, okay? Step number 1 is select a term. So select only one term. Step number 2, and divide, okay? Select one term only and divide. I have x to the power of 3. Divide it by x. Always you divide the leading coefficients. So select the term and divide by the leading term from here. Only this leading one is the one with the highest power. In this case, it's x, okay? So divide what by what? The leading term with the leading term, okay? Keep that in mind. So how does it go? Just on the side, try to do x to the power of 3 divided by x. How do we divide variables? Just subtract the powers. 3 minus 1 is 2. So the answer is x to the power of 2. This answer, put it up. and put your answer where? In the quotient, up. Always you put the answers on top, okay? Step 2 is to multiply. What do you multiply? Multiply step 1 with divisor, with the whole divisor, okay? So the answer we have here, multiply it with the whole divisor. So try to do x to the power of 2 times x is basically x to the power of 3. Where do we put the answer of multiplication? Down. Answer of division? Up. Answer of multiplication? Down. And then complete. We're not done. You have to multiply by the whole divisor. X to the power of 2 times 3 is basically positive 3x squared. Okay? Once you're done with multiplication, it follows next step, which is subtract. What do we have to subtract? Of course, the dividend with your thingy, answer of multiplication. So x to the power of 3 minus x to the power of 3, 0, nothing left. 5x squared minus 3x squared. Same power, just write down the power. 5 minus 3 is 2. It's going to take the sign of the 5, just positive. Then last step is bring down and repeat. Bring down everything. So bring down the positive 6x and the positive 9. Everything you have to bring it down with you. And then repeat the same steps. Yeah, let's repeat with another color. Select the leading term from here with the leading term from here and divide them. So I'm doing step number 1 again. Yalla, 2x squared divided by x. 2 will be written down. X squared divided by x is just gonna be x to the power of 1, which is x. Put your answer on top, positive 2x. Then step 2, multiply your answer with the divisor, the whole divisor, okay? So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 3 is 6x. Then next step is to subtract. Again, 2x squared minus 2x squared cancelled. 6x minus 6x, surprisingly it's cancelled. And then 9 will be step number 4, bring it down. And repeat. Yalla, let's repeat. Now there's a rule in division. If you are dividing two terms, the term on top or the dividend is, and the divisor here. If the dividend have lower power or degree than the divisor have a higher degree, then you stop division. Khalas, you're done. For example here, if I want to select the leading terms, I'm going to select 9 with x. So I will do 9 divided by x. The 9 doesn't have a variable, so its degree is 0. The x, the power is 1, and that's the variable. It's degree 1. Since the 9 is lower degree than the x, it's lower power than the x, there is no variable, and here there's a variable, then you stop the division, and then you say, khalas, that's my answer of division, done. And this thing, the 9, is called a remainder that I cannot divide. Okay? Makes sense? طيب, how do we write down our answer? Let's say I want to use not type 1 answer, I want to use type 2, which is dividend equals quotient times divisor plus remainder. How does it go? So first you write the dividend, which is this one, as we said, like this whole thing is the dividend, the original dividend. It's x to the power of 3 plus 5x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals, that's my dividend, equals quotient times divisor. My quotient is x squared plus 2x times divisor is x plus 3 plus my remainder, which is 9. That's it. This is how you write your answer of division. Okay. Let's take, for example, this one. I'll do this one with you guys. Time. How does it go? First of all, you have to know which one is your dividend, which one is your divisor. It's clear this is dividend, and that's my divisor. because I'm gonna do this divided by the divisor. Time. That's the sign of division. Write down your dividend. Minus 2x squared plus 7x plus 9 divided by x squared minus 3x, and then start dividing. Remember, step number 1, I'm just gonna take the steps with me. Yeah. Yeah. Step number 1, select a term, the leading term from here with the leading term from here. And what do? We divide. So take them on the side. 3x cubed divided by x squared. Keep the 3, and then 3 minus 2 is 1. So it's going to be x to the power of 1. That's the answer. We put the answer on top. So it's going to be 3x on top. Second step is we multiply our answer by the whole divisor. So 3x times x is 3x to the power of 3. 3x times 3x is 9x squared, but negative. So negative 9 2x's. Okay? Next, what do? We subtract. So this is gonna be cancelled because 3x cubed minus 3x cubed, 0. Now here we have negative 2x squared, negative 9x. How do we do that? Just in the calculator write down negative 2 minus negative 9. You're gonna get, this is gonna be positive, so you're gonna get 7. So the answer will be positive 7, and put the variable down. Make sure you are subtracting with the same variable, okay? And later on, bring down everything. So bring down this 7, bring down this 9, and repeat. How do you repeat? Select the leading terms. So take this leading term with the leading term. 7x squared divided by x squared. So since we have the same variable, it will cancel out, and I will have only 7. The answer is only 7. Then multiply 7 times x squared, it's 7x squared. 7 times negative 3x is going to be negative 21x. And subtract. 7x squared minus 7x squared is 0. Here, 7x minus 21. How do we do that? Just put it in the calculator. The 7 is positive. Minus from it the 21 that is negative. If you put this in the calculator, you're going to get positive 4x. And then bring down. Now what do? We have to repeat. Yalla, let's repeat. Take the leading term with the leading term. So I have 4x divided by x squared. Because this term is degree 1 and this one is degree 2, the power here is 1, the power here is 2. So you can divide. The one on top should be higher degree or equal. If it was equal degree, no problem. They will get cancelled. Or higher degree, so you can subtract them. But here you cannot do 1 minus 2. The answer cannot be negative. It should be positive. Because you cannot have a polynomial with a negative power. So therefore you stop division. And we say that this whole thing is a remainder. We cannot divide it. This whole thing is a quotient. How do we write down our answer? We write down the answer as following. So what you do is, we know that the answer can be written as dividend over divisor equals quotient plus remainder over divisor. So how do we do this? How do we do that? Just write down your dividend, which is 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 7x plus 9 over divisor, which is x squared minus 3x, equals your quotient plus your remainder 4x plus 9 over your divisor x squared minus 3x. That's how you write it. That's it. Fine. We're done with long division. Now let's see synthetic division. Synthetic division is way easier. We saw that in class. طيب, how does it work? We should always divide by a divisor that looks like this, x minus a, or plus or minus a. And your a will be the same as this number but opposite sign. Why do we care about that a? Because we're gonna use it here to divide. So how do we start? First of all, make sure that your divisor looks like this, and it does. Then identify your a. My a here is positive 3. We take opposite sign. So just write down here positive 3. And then look at your dividend and make sure it's organized from highest power to lowest power and there is no term cancelled. For example, here the highest power is power of 3. Yes, negative x to the power of 3. Then comes power of 2, positive 4x squared. Now power of 1, I don't have it, so just fill in 0 power of 1, and then the number should be there. If there is no number, you have to write down 0. Okay, plus 9, there is a number. Later on, take only the coefficients. Here it's negative 1, there's a hidden 1. So negative 1, positive 4, positive 0, positive 9, and write them down here. Okay, here you're gonna write down your coefficients and make sure they are from highest order to lowest order, and if there is a term missing, just replace it with 0. This is all just to set up your division. We're not dividing it, we're just preparing for the division. Okay, and now apply your division. How do we do that? Until now I only did step 1 and step 2 and 3. Okay, now moving to the next one. First, bring down the negative 1, bring it down under the synthetic division sign. Just bring down directly negative 1, okay? And then whatever you have here, you have to multiply it with your a, always. So since I have the negative 1 down, multiply it with the 3. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Where do you put the answer? Under the next coefficient. And add. Combine the numbers. Positive 4 minus 3, the answer is positive 1. Since I have an answer here, multiply it with your a. 1 times 3 is 3. Where do we put the answer of multiplication? Under the next coefficient. Yell, and then combine. 0 plus 3 is 3. What do I do with anything written down here? We multiply it with the a. So 3 times 3 is 9. Where do I put it? I write it down under this 9. Now combine. 9 plus 9 is 18. Now that's it. You don't multiply it because khalas, you're done. You don't have any more coefficients here to write anything under it, so you stop here. The last term we have here is the remainder, and it's going to be a number only without any variable. The other 3 terms here will have a power. Which variable and the power? Which power will it be? Since the dividend had a power of 3, your answer will start with power of 2, then power of 1, and then no power. That's it. So that's my quotient. That's my remainder. This is the dividend, and this is the divisor. Done, 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 done. See, it's a very easy way of dividing. Instead of the long, very long division, you will have only to deal with numbers without any variable. Let's take, for example, this one. How does it work again? I think this is not the same example. Okay, how does it work? First of all, make sure it looks like x minus a, and it does. And then identify your a. My a is positive 3 again, by chance. This is my dividend. So make sure to organize it from highest power to lowest power. If there's a missing term, substitute it by 0. And I do have a missing term. So the highest power is 2x cubed. Comes later on 7x squared. And then x only, I don't have it. So I just write plus 0x. And then negative 4. Okay? So how do we do that? Just draw an like a corner. And then put here your a, positive 3. Inside here we put the coefficients. I have 2 then -7, then 0, then -4. Now what do we do? First, bring the first term down. Anything down, you multiply it with the a. That's my a. 2 times 3 is 6. Then combine. -7 with 6 is -1. Now multiply. -1 times 3 is -3. Combine. 0 with -3 is -3. Multiply. -3 with +3 is -9. Combine. These together will be -13. That's a remainder. Okay? And now since my dividend had a power of 3, I'm going to start with power 2, then power 1, and then no power. That's my quotient. So my quotient is 2x squared minus x minus 3. My remainder is -13. That's it. It's a very easy technique. You just can try to apply it, and remember it doesn't work on such divisors. It just only works on like these divisors, or maybe this one, anything like x plus or minus a number. Okay? Now moving to the remainder theorem. Remainder theorem uses synthetic division and says that instead of doing synthetic division to find the remainder that we find at the end, you can use a very nice theorem. It says instead of dividing with your a, for example, my a here is -5. Okay, we take opposite sign. So instead of dividing the coefficient, which is 1, then 10, then 29, then 24, 10, 29, 24, let's try to divide it. Bring the 1 down, multiply. 1 times -5 is -5. 10 and -5 will give me 5. 5 times -5 is -25. Combine, you're gonna get 4. 4 times -5 is basically -20. Combine, you're gonna get 4 again. Okay? And then since the highest power was 3, I'm gonna start with power 2, then power 1, then there is no power, and that's my remainder. Basically, this is the quotient. Okay? The remainder theorem says instead of doing synthetic division to find the remainder, you can shortly just take your equation, which is x to the power of 3 plus 10x squared plus the dividend. Take your dividend, okay, and substitute x with your a. You're gonna get the remainder. So instead of x, we substitute with -5. So try to do that. You can always verify remainder theorem with synthetic division. You're supposed to get the same remainder. That's why we're doing both. But you have the choice to like do only remainder theorem if you want the remainder. Okay. So if you put this in the calculator, just give me a minute. I'll try to put it quickly. So we have, please use brackets, Banat. Like when you have -5 to the power of 3, just actually use -5 to the, like use bracket. To the power of 3 plus 10 times -5 squared plus 29 times -5 plus 24. So if you plug this in the calculator, you get 4, and I did. Like I just checked now. The answer that you get is basically the same remainder, remainder only R, like normal R, as the remainder you're gonna get if you will do synthetic division or long division or any type of division you want. So that's a short way of finding the remainder without going through any division. So for example, if I ask you any question or just MCQ's question, what's gonna be the remainder of dividing this by this, you can use remainder theorem, which is substituting with a, to just find the remainder quickly. Okay? I might ask you to verify the remainder theorem. So you're gonna use synthetic division, showing me that this is the remainder, and then show me with the remainder theorem that you're gonna get the same remainder. So it's just another way of asking at the same point. Okay? So that's another type of questions you might get on this lesson, on this idea, which is remainder theorem. I'll be giving you a population function and then ask you that x is number of years from 2015. Use remainder theorem to estimate the population in 2023. I did not give you the divisor to find a, but I can find a just by subtracting the number of years to find how many years it was from 2015. So 2023 minus 2015, it's 8 years. So that's your a. And directly use the remainder theorem. Just substitute your x with 8, your a, and just plug it in. So it's going to be negative outside. Only the x will be cubed, plus 6 outside. Only the x will be squared, plus 12 outside. Only there's an x, and then plus 325. It's a very easy idea to apply. Just plug this in the calculator. You're gonna get 293. That's it. That's it. This is your answer. Okay, so the last idea is factor theorem. Factor theorem is just the same as remainder theorem, but you can say that something is a factor of another term if the remainder was 0, then it's a factor. This means that you don't have any remainder left. So if there is no remainder left, then it's a factor. The reason behind it, suppose you are dividing 10 by 2, you're gonna get exactly 5. But if you divide 11 by 2, you're gonna get 5 and 1 left. Okay? And here we can say that 10 is a factor. 2 is a factor, sorry, of 10. But 2 is not a factor of 11 because there's a remainder. Like the remainder here was 1, but here the remainder was 0, no remainder. So that's why 2 is a factor of 10, but it's not factor of 11. Okay. Time. So shortly the idea is if you divide two things by each other exactly with no remainder left, then it's a factor. If there was a remainder left, then it's not a factor. It's just you're gonna have something extra left. Okay. So how can we do that without actually dividing? You can, if you want, you can just use synthetic division. I'll just try to use synthetic division here. My a is positive 6. I take opposite sign always. So I'm just going to try to divide here. Take the coefficients. Just check that there is no term missing. X power of 4, power of 3, power of 2, power of 1, and there's a number. Yes. Just put the coefficients. 1, negative 8, positive 16. Negative 23, negative 6, and then do the synthetic division. Bring down 1, multiply. 1 times 6 is 6. Combine, negative 2. Multiply, negative 12. Combine, positive 4. Multiply, positive 24. Combine, positive 1. Multiply, positive 6. Combine, it's a 0 remainder. So I can say that this is a factor of this. So this thing, it's a factor. The divisor is a factor because there was no remainder. It's going to be power of 3 first, power of 2, power of 1, and no power. That's the quotient, and the remainder is 0. This is one way to find the remainder. If it's a factor or not, just find the remainder with synthetic division or use remainder theorem. How does it work? Put down your equation, x to the power of 4 it's a very easy lesson. And substitute with your a, which is 6. So just do 6 to the power of 4 minus 8 times 6 cubed plus 16 times 6 squared. Always use brackets. 3 times 6. If you put this in the calculator, you're going to get 0. This shows that the remainder is 0, so this is a factor. Which one is the factor? It's x minus 6. not the divisor. لا, not the dividend, sorry. لا, the divisor is a factor and not 6. So keep track, what are you like talking about. Time. So I'm not gonna do here synthetic division. I'll just use remainder theorem. So instead of x, I will substitute with a, which is -3. So -3 to the power of 5 minus 5 times -3 cubed plus 9 times -3 squared minus -3 plus 3. Okay, put this in the calculator. You're gonna get, bismillah, the power of 5 minus 5 times -3 cubed plus 9 times -3 squared minus, or like plus 3. This is gonna be -21, and that's my remainder. The remainder, it's not 0, so x plus 3 is not a factor. طيب. Now when I said that this is a factor, which one is the other factor? Always when you have a factor, there must be another factor. The quotient is the other factor, so that's another factor. And this is only valid when you have a remainder of 0. So when you have a remainder of 0, the quotient and the divisor are factors. So which ones are the factors? They are the quotient and divisor are the factors of the dividend. Okay, for example, when you divide 10 by 2, it's exactly 5 with the remainder 0. So that's the dividend, that's the divisor, and that's the quotient. We say that 2 and 5 are factors of 10. Why? Because 2 times 5 is 10. So the divisor and the quotient, 2 and 5, are factors of 10, which is the dividend. Why? Because 2 times 5 will exactly give me 10 without any further remainder or anything, any number needed to be added or something. That's the remainder theorem. Just substitute to find how much is the remainder, and if you got the remainder of 0, then it's a factor. That's the factor theorem. Go through the questions, try to explore error analysis questions. Try to see word problems. Here we have some word problems you can try to solve. Okay, for example, this is a nice question. When polynomial is divided by a linear factor, this is a factor, the remainder is 0. What can you conclude? We can say that, first of all, my a is what? It's positive n. That's the a. Okay? So if the factor is 0, then when I substitute by n, so p of n is 0. Right? That's correct. Not negative n, because a, I always take opposite sign. One more thing, I conclude that this is a factor. This thing is a factor. So it's a very nice idea to try to solve such questions. They are a bit tricky, but they you will have a deeper idea of the lesson. What else? Here they're asking, show that these are factors of this one. Just use the remainder theorem. One time substitute by 3, one time by -5, and see that which one is the factor and which one is not. Here they're saying that this is a factor of this, but you have a number missing. Now, something that I know, if it's a factor, if I substitute by -3, I'm supposed to get 0. So if I put -3 to the power of 3 plus 2 times -3 squared minus 5 times -3 plus a missing number n, I'm supposed to get an answer of 0. Solve this. Just find how much is this part, which is all numbers. Put it in the calculator. You're gonna get you will get 6 plus a number equals 0. Then solve this equation. Just take 6 here. It's gonna be -6. 0 minus 6 is -6. So your missing number is -6. That's the number that you need to actually equal to 0. Okay? This is how you do it. It's a very easy, nice question. Here, they gave you the function and they gave you the number of years. That's your A ready. Substitute to find the remainder. The rest is all easy. Just try to solve more questions about this lesson from the pack I already gave you. And good luck.